Let's call this meeting of the executive meeting of the Monroe County Plan Commission to order. And I know we have a rough agenda that was sent out. And the first item is the planning department staffing future job openings discussion. So Larry, did you want to lead that discussion or is that a little awkward?
Well, I think it's really up to you guys how you want to proceed. You know, in the past, I actually was interviewed for the position in 2007, so I went through it once prior to being hired in 2010. And I don't recall exactly how the, you know, again, it's totally up to you. I think Elizabeth has said you really have the option of doing whatever you want to do, I believe. Is she on? I was hoping she'd be able to attend.
Yeah, Larry, this is Dave. Just 3 points from the personnel policy realm. Number one, need council approval to fill the position. So if you haven't gotten that yet, you'll need to petition the council for that. Number two, you may fill the position by transferring within the department without posting. And as a matter of policy, that is encouraged. And three, posting would be on the internet, intranet, in each county building bulletin board, newspapers, and trade journals. And that's about all the requirements you have for getting the ball rolling.
Okay.
Well, the other thing I will point out is that the ordinance provides that in the absence of a director, planning director, the assistant director steps into that role.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and Commissioner Thomas has her hand raised.
Right. I just want to note that Elizabeth Sensenstein has joined the meeting.
Okay, great.
But we are short on time, but I wonder if we can set, maybe we should try to set a short deadline for internal applicants. And then if we have to post it somewhere else, we can do that quickly if we need to, if we don't have any applicants or whatever. So
I think that's a great idea. Does anybody else have any objections to that?
And Elizabeth,
No.
we could just do that. Elizabeth, can we do that just by posting on on the internal website the way you do?
You know, I've not actually ever done that, but I think if I just emailed it out to all employees, you know, and didn't put it on the website, that might be a way to do it internally.
Okay. And Jeff, just for reference, when's the next council meeting?
Well, let's see. It would be the second or fourth Tuesday of the month. So let me.
you could
The
do
22nd.
I think you could probably,
22nd.
yeah, you could
Okay.
maybe get something on the agenda for the work session.
Well,
possibly?
realize you don't need approval to necessarily, unless a council member requests review of the position. So you don't.
Okay.
You can announce. There's a procedure that you
Okay.
let the council office know. Kim will send it out, and if nobody objects within 48 hours work hours, then you don't need any approval from the council.
Okay. Well, I'll do that.
Jeff,
I'll do that on Monday then.
Jeff, correct me if I'm wrong, but if they're going to promote from within, I don't believe that they need approval. It's just if they're going to hire a new person.
You are correct. And hang on,
Okay.
Jerry Pittsford's calling me. I'm going to answer real quick.
If he's trying to get in the meeting, you might not have the link since it wasn't in the calendar invitation. It's on the announcement though, the posting for the meeting, so.
Yeah, sorry, I'm texting Jerry the link. He couldn't find it. So
There you go.
okay, I just sent it to him.
Yeah, well, why don't, maybe we could move on to enforcement stuff and then come back while we're waiting for Jerry to join us and then
That's
rehash
great.
where we are.
Yeah.
That works for me.
So what's going on with the enforcement issues?
I just left that open. Dave usually has something to bring to you, so I put that on the agenda. I don't know whether he does or not.
Well, I can, as we wait for Jerry, I can just go through some of the things that are going on right now. We have prepared 2 complaints that we haven't had to file because they've been worked out. One on a illegal mobile home placement. Well, both on illegal mobile home placements. One, the mobile home was removed. On the second one, the daughter of the owners who are essentially unable to deal with situations has agreed to file an eviction notice to get the people off the property. So we're holding off filing the complaint until they go through that process. We have 2 cases that we are, one is a general contractor use out on Ison Road that we are waiting for a survey on. The owner is trying to bring his property into compliance by building a structure and moving some of his business equipment off-site. We have the Sands Porthole Inn tourist home. We're waiting for a proposed settlement agreement from Carmen on that. We have the Patricia Myers Trust, which was the placement of a garage in the right-of-way off of South Fairfax Road. That is a situation where the Old National Bank is the trustee or represents the trustee. We filed the complaint on a Wednesday and mailed it, and they received it on Thursday. And I got a call from the bank saying, we're going to do whatever you guys need to do to get this resolved. And so their attorney just filed an appearance today. So I think that's one that can be worked out pretty quickly. We have Boathouse where they petitioned for to the Supreme Court for transfer, and the briefs have been filed in that, and we're just waiting to hear from the Supreme Court on whether they'll take it up. The Court of Appeals overturned Judge Cure and ruled in the county's favor on our motions for summary judgment, and Boathouse requested a rehearing, and then the Court of Appeals rejected that request. So that's where we are on that. Huff, still trying to get them to sign the settlement or the mediation agreement. And we've had correspondence with them this week on that. And Mr. Huff is applying for septic system permits down at his property. And I believe several of them have been approved at this time. That's all that comes to mind right now. If you have any questions about a case that you know of, and I could answer those perhaps.
Commissioner Thomas?
Yeah, I just have a general question without getting into the nuts and bolts of legal stuff that we shouldn't be talking about. I'm just curious about septic permits and how they're approved vis-a-vis other planning approvals that have to happen, if that makes sense.
Yeah, the septic permit is a separate permit under a different part of the code. And that's up to Ryan Casper Cushman to approve those permits. In certain cases, For example, if there's a floodplain on the property, the health department regulations, the 365, chapter 365 of the code, state that private septic systems cannot be located within the floodplain. So because of that, they're sent to the floodplain administrator, Tammy, for review. And if they meet those requirements, then it's passed back to the health department for issuance. It hasn't been the practice of Monroe County to require improvement location permits for septic system installation, but that is something that might be considered. We've had several meetings with the health department recently trying to establish more coordination between the departments on septic permits so that we can, alert Ryan to some of the planning requirements. One of the problems that we've had is that Ryan is the only one in the department who is issuing permits at this time, and he's just completely underwater. So he's not really able to give that process a lot of time, each application a lot of time. So that's something that we started to work on, and hopefully we'll come up with a solution to that to make that the coordination between the departments work. There is a provision in the zoning ordinance that basically says, the Monroe County Code, every ordinance in the Monroe County Code that relates to land development is intended to be part of the uniform system of land use regulation. And so anyone who issues a permit is not supposed to issue the permit if doing so would allow something to occur that is in violation of a planning ordinance. And it goes on to state that if a permit is issued and there is a violation of the planning ordinance, the permit is essentially void, and the county does not waive its right to raise the issue, even though the permit was issued. So I don't know if that answers your question, Julie, but that's the
It does. Thank you.
the report.
I would like to welcome Jerry Pittsford. Thank you, Jerry, for coming. We were just at the very beginning speaking about the vacancies and some of the technicalities of the position vacancy to fill for Mr. Wilson. And there's apparently a regulation that if there is a transfer from within, no job posting needs to take place. But if we are recruiting from outside, that the posting must be approved by the county council first. And so I just wanted to bring you up to date.
Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you.
I'm sorry. I just wanted to clarify that we don't, just like I said before, the county council only has to vote on it or to consider it if one or more council members want to. So otherwise, if no council member responds to the email that goes out, then no approval is necessary.
Okay, great. And that's for both internal and external, or no?
That's for external. For internal, there's nothing. The county council doesn't have anything to do with it.
Okay, great. Thank you. So since Mr. Pittsford has arrived, is there anything further about the position vacancy that you'd like to discuss?
I have a question.
Yes, Mr. Pittsford, and then Mr. McKim.
Sorry, Mr. McKim. Do we know if there's any in-house interest in the position?
I believe there is.
Well, I think the plan is to post it internally, Jerry.
Okay.
And that way, and with a fairly short turnaround, and you'll know whether there's interest.
Okay. Do we have a definite on what time frame? Post it and replies by X date, and what would that date be?
I think that's up to you. I will try to get it work with Elizabeth to get it posted on Monday and notify the county council. I guess we don't need to notify the county council, but post it on Monday if we can, Elizabeth. So it's
Yes,
it's a question about,
yeah, I will be there on Monday.
okay. It's a question about how long you want to keep it open.
Okay, I'll recognize Mr. McKim and we'll come back to that question, Mr. Wilson.
Yeah, so Larry, I just wanted to recommend that you go ahead and give that notice to the council
Okay.
anyway. Just
That way you can go ahead and advertise it.
Yep, you don't want any delays. And I
Okay.
don't know, are we talking maybe to answer the other question, what, a week? Is that, Elizabeth, what's typical for just in-house postings, if anything?
Yeah, this is not typical from what I have seen. Usually departments just post it on publicly and then just see what kind of interest they get internally and externally. But I don't see any reason why we couldn't do this, and I think the time frame can be whatever you would like it to be.
Okay, thank you, Elizabeth. Mr. McKim, do you have another question? No.
No.
So I think that the answer is that it's going to be posted probably Monday or Tuesday. And the question that remains is how long would we like for the posting to remain posted internally, and what is the turnaround time? Do you have a recommendation, Mr. Wilson?
I would say, given the time frame, that you may want to 4 o'clock on Friday. Does
Okay.
that make sense?
And what is there? What are people internally to submit?
It's the same application that would be externally. I think, Elizabeth, isn't it just a county application and resume and a letter of intent?
Yes, some departments do it differently and they require you to fill out the application. I don't think that's necessary since folks already would be county employees. So it could be a resume
letter,
or yes, exactly.
A letter, okay.
So
May I?
Yes.
I just want to ask a point of clarification, and maybe Larry and I could discuss this on Monday as well, but would you prefer that this was only sent internally to the department or internally to all county employees that could be interested?
Larry, and I'd like both Larry and Commissioner Thomas to speak to that. And then Mr. Pittsford has his hand raised. Oh.
It doesn't matter to me.
Well, I'll recognize Mr. Pittsford and then we'll go to Commissioner Thomas.
Thank you very much. I just want to check to make sure that everybody here is in agreement to do an internal posting without an external posting. It got discussed, but I didn't think I heard from everybody that that's the route we wanted to take. I certainly have no issue with it, but is there anybody who believes it should be posted internally and externally simultaneously?
Okay, your question has been received, and then Commissioner Thomas and then Mr. McKim.
Yeah, I would just say that I think that it will be only necessary to post it to the department given the specific requirements in terms of education and in terms of certifications that are required for this position. So I think just to the department is fine.
Thank you. Mr. McKim?
Yes, I was just going to answer Jerry's question. I support posting internally first.
Yes, I too, because, the external posting may not be necessary. And we are preparing to post it if it becomes necessary. And so I think we're preparing for both avenues.
Agreed.
Okay.
Well, sorry, Margaret, I was a little slow there. Well, then I'm in agreement to, if everybody feels like we go internal before external, then I say that's fine.
Okay. Okay, then I think that's pretty unanimous there. And I think we only have other business unless Larry or Elizabeth, you need something from us. And I see Mr. McKim's hand is raised, please.
I just wanted to know if we need to kind of decide on the procedure for reviewing any resumes we get. What's happened in the past? Are we the interview committee? Do we create an interview committee? Particularly those of you who've been part of this in the past, how's that been handled? I think Jerry and Julie have both been part of this, as is Larry.
Hey,
Yeah,
I recall at least one time interviewing with the entire plan commission. That may have been 2007. It may have been 2010.
I believe that we did everything with the executive committee where possible for first interviews, and then included plan commission members for seconds interviews. If I remember correctly, Jerry, am I misremembering that?
No, Julie, my recollection is, and as always, I reserve the right to be wrong or mistaken when something's taken place so long over time. But my recollection is that when we replaced Bob Cow with Greg Zodi, the executive committee screened applicants and then took the ones that they found worthy of next step to plan commission for their review. And then we decided together which ones we wanted to interview. So there was a pre-screening, then a plan commission screening, and then the interview process with everyone interested in participating in that second interview.
I think we can set up any procedure we want, but I definitely think that we're all in agreement that we want to offer an opportunity for plan commission members to be part of that interview process. So I think we just need to establish our procedure and move forward, unless I'm wrong, Mr. Schilling.
I think that would be good. Yes, the ordinance and the statute actually say the plan commission appoints, but the plan commission could delegate that to the executive committee if it desires.
Mr. McKim?
First of all, I think the two-step process would be perfectly reasonable to have this committee vet the applicants and then make recommendation to the plan commission, who would then do the appointment. And and then Mr. Schilling, would this be would we be able to do the interviews in executive session and then just do the final appointment in a public meeting, or how does that work?
I think the statute allows you to do the first round of employees or interviews in an executive session. But I think if you whittle it down to 2 or 3, then those have to be done publicly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Right. I think that's why I remember 2 rounds of interviews, because one was public and one wasn't.
Okay.
But yeah, so I do think it would be great to allow the plan commission members to be part of the interview process. And so I think, given that we have an internal round that we're doing very quickly, that maybe we could do a combined interview process in this case, since it's internal and everybody knows everybody. And that would save some time as well before we know what the next steps are. So I would suggest that for this round, we set up a procedure where we forward the applications to Plan Commission members and then set up through Doodle Poll or whatever a time that's convenient for as many as possible to attend the interviews. And if folks can't attend the interviews, they can submit questions.
Okay. Sounds good.
Can I mention something here?
Sure.
The previously, when we'd have this process, there would be applicants who weren't qualified or who said they were pending certification and that sort of stuff. And the executive committee was able to pull those out so people didn't get excited about someone who really wasn't qualified. Are we going to keep that in place? I'm not opposed at all to having any and all members of the Plan Commission who want to participate in the process join, but I also don't want a whole bunch of people looking at resumes or applicants and saying, "Oh, I really like this person," and then find out they're not able to fill the job.
I think when the application and again, Jerry, I'm just making this recommendation for our first round, which is this next week.
Right.
So it's a small number of potential applicants. And I think that when those applications are forwarded to the Plan Commission before interviews, I think that kind of information needs to be outlined for the applicants. And but I think the second round may look different if we need a second round. So
Okay, are we actually going to interview the applicants before we move them forward? Or are we just going to screen them and then share that with the Plan Commission members and set dates for interviews?
I think I prefer the latter for this first round, personally.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
I agree.
in a way, because no, I think you're absolutely right in this first round because these people have already been vetted. So that's not an issue. But if we go externally, I would really encourage us to consider having the executive committee screen applicants and determine who is worthy of first and second interviews, and that the executive committee conduct the first interview.
Absolutely. I
agree on
absolutely
all that. Yep.
Okay. Well, it sounds like we have a plan.
Yeah, it does. Thanks to your good work and your good experience and all of the guidelines that people came together with. I think that's wonderful. Of course, Mr. Wilson, we're going to miss you. We
Yes.
will.
I'll miss you guys too.
Yep. We wish you well.
You'll miss meetings like this, won't you?
Oh, this was not bad at all.
Right. Well, hey, Larry, I've got to say, because we've worked together for the whole run, and I think, Julie, you were there at the hiring as well, right?
Yep.
So we've gone down some pretty bumpy roads over the course of time, but you've remained steady. And I just want to say that my respect for you has only grown as we've gone through the years. And you've been very helpful both to the county and to me as a citizen representative on the Plan Commission. So I appreciate that. And I will say all that again publicly when we give you a fond farewell.
Yeah.
Oh, gee.
Here.
Yes.
Yep.
Well, I tell you what I'm doing in the next couple of weeks is I'm going to be archiving my email and all the documents and so on, so that they'll be available in the future, because it is a fairly long time span, and it's a real problem if you don't know what happened before. But fortunately, with the electronic work we've done, the online permitting, that'll be pretty straightforward. Again, you'll be fine.
Well, it will be fine because of all the people that I've worked with as a planning director. And, Bob Cal was the first director I worked with, and I had an immense amount of respect for him. But Bob was a slightly above average manager. He liked to do things himself so much that sometimes I think his staff was not well utilized or not utilized the extent that they could be. And your greatest strength, Larry, is that you have done a tremendous job of delegating authority and sharing the daily workload so that when you're not there, they carry on. And I've always thought that that was the hallmark of good administration when if the boss is gone, work continues.
Yeah, we have a good staff. You're in good hands. We have a new planner starting on March 1st, who's undergraduate was Auburn. His master's is from Georgia. So he'll be pretty well fully. I will leave and a new person will arrive the next day. So that should help as far as like not being understaffed during the interim.
Is anybody else concerned that this poor guy's going to arrive conflicted? He went to Auburn and Georgia both. I mean, my Lord.
You know, I asked him.
How can we trust his loyalty?
I asked him. Well, here's the answer, Jerry, because I asked the question. Were you excited about this football, the national championship? He goes, I'm really not into football. That explains it all, doesn't it?
Okay, that's how he made pull that off.
Yeah. That's how the inconsistency was overcome.
All right. Okay. Well, with that, I'm done. I can't top that.
Well, is there any other business for this meeting tonight?
Everybody have a great weekend.
Yes.
Okay, and when the internal job is posted, I will put it in an email and send it out to you all so you'll know that it started.
Okay.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, great.
Here, here. See y'all.
All right.
Thanks, everybody.